Welcome to MCR's biochemistry lecture. In this video, we are going to see about the thyroid hormones. To start with, we'll see what are hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers that are secreted into the bloodstream to control the metabolic and biological activities in the target cells. They are produced in small amounts by the endocrine glands. They help in the coordination of biological functions. Based on the chemical nature, hormones are classified as peptide hormones, steroid hormones, and amino acid derivatives. The thyroid hormones are placed under amino acid derivative hormones. Based on the mechanism of action, the thyroid hormones come under group 1 hormones, which bind to intracellular receptors to form receptor hormone complexes, and thereby they mediate their biochemical functions. Moving on to the introduction, the thyroid gland is an endocrine gland situated at the root of the neck on either side of the trachea below the larynx, also called as the Adam's apple. It has two lobes which are connected by a central isthmus, and it weighs about 20 to 40 grams in adults. Thyroid is larger in females than in men, and the structure and function of the thyroid gland changes in different stages of the sexual cycle, especially in females. Its function increases slightly during pregnancy and lactation and decreases during menopause. Now, let's see about the histology of thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is composed of a large number of closed follicles that are lined with cuboidal epithelial cells called as follicular cells. The follicular cavity is filled with a colloidal substance known as thyroglobulin, which is secreted by the follicular cells. These cells also secrete tetraiodothyronin, also called as T4 or thyroxine, and triiodothyronin. In between the follicles, the parafollicular cells secrete calcitonin. The thyroid gland secretes three hormones. They are tetraiodothyronin or T4, triiodothyronin or T3. These two regulate the metabolic rate of the body. The third hormone is calcitonin, which is concerned with the calcium homeostasis. Moving on to the synthesis of thyroid hormones. The synthesis of thyroid hormones takes place in the thyroglobulin present in follicular cavity. Iodine and tyrosine are essential for the formation of thyroid hormones. Iodine and tyrosine is consumed through diet and is absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract. More than half of the body's total iodine content is found in the thyroid gland. For the synthesis of thyroid hormones in normal quantities, approximately 1 milligram of iodine is required per week, or we can say that about 50 milligrams of iodine is required per year. To prevent iodine deficiency, common table salt is iodized with 1 part of sodium iodide to every 1 lakh parts of sodium chloride. Now, let's see about the stages involved in the synthesis of thyroid hormones. They are thyroglobulin synthesis, iodide trapping, transport of iodine into the follicular cavity, oxidation of iodide, iodination of tyrosine, and finally the coupling reactions. The thyroglobulin synthesis, the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus in the follicular cells of thyroid gland synthesize and secrete thyroglobulin continuously. This thyroglobulin is a large glycoprotein which has got a molecular weight of around 660,000, and it contains 140 molecules of amino acid tyrosine. It is the precursor for the synthesis of T3 and T4. And after synthesis, thyroglobulin is stored in the follicle. Moving on to the iodide trapping, iodide is actively transported from the blood into the follicular cell against the electrochemical gradient. This process is called iodide trapping. The iodide is transported into the follicular cell along with sodium by sodium iodide symport pump, which is also called as iodide pump. Normally, iodide is 30 times more concentrated in the thyroid gland than in the blood. However, during hyperactivity of the thyroid gland, the concentration of iodide increases 200 times more. The iodide uptake is primarily controlled by the thyroid stimulating hormone. The antithyroid agents such as thiocyanate and perchlorate inhibit the iodide transport. From the follicular cells, iodine is transported into the follicular cavity by an iodide chloride pump called Pendrin. Next, we'll move on to the oxidation of iodide. The conversion of iodide to active iodine is an essential step for its incorporation into the thyroid hormones, and thyroid is the only tissue that can oxidize iodide to a higher valence state I+. This reaction requires hydrogen peroxide and is catalyzed by the enzyme thyroperoxidase, which has got a molecular weight of around 60,000. The hydrogen peroxide is supplied by a NADPH dependent system. The iodination of tyrosine takes place in thyroglobulin. First, iodine is transported from follicular cells into the follicular cavity where it binds with thyroglobulin, and this process is called as organification of thyroglobulin. Then the iodine combines with tyrosine, which is already present in the thyroglobulin. The iodination process is accelerated by the enzyme iodinase, which is secreted by the follicular cells. The iodination of tyrosine occurs in several stages. Tyrosine is first iodinated at position 3 to form monoiodotyrosine, and then at position 5 to form diiodotyrosine. The monoiodotyrosine and diiodotyrosine are called the iodotyrosine residues. Now, let's see about the final stage of the synthesis of thyroid hormones, the coupling reactions. The iodotyrosine residues get coupled with one another. A molecule of iodine combines with tyrosine to form monoiodotyrosine. This occurs at position 3. When another molecule of iodine combines with monoiodotyrosine at position 5, we have the production of diiodotyrosine. When a molecule of monoiodotyrosine couples with diiodotyrosine, we have the production of triiodothyronine. Sometimes a molecule of diiodotyrosine couples with monoiodotyrosine to form reverse T3. When two molecules of diiodotyrosine couple with each other, we have the production of thyroxine. As the process of iodination is completed, each molecule of thyroglobulin contains about 6 to 8 molecules of thyroxine. When we see the ratio of T3 to T4, it is 1:10. T4 forms about 90% of the total secretion, whereas T3 is only 9% to 10%. Concentrating on the storage and release of thyroid hormones, the thyroglobulin containing T4 and T3 can be stored for several months in the thyroid gland. The stored thyroid hormones can meet the body requirement for 1 to 3 months. The thyroglobulin is digested by the lysosomal proteolytic enzymes in the thyroid gland. The free hormones thyroxine and triiodothyronine are released into the blood by a process stimulated by TSH. The monoiodotyrosine and diiodotyrosine produced in the thyroid gland undergo deiodination by the enzyme deiodinase, and the iodine thus liberated can be reutilized. Two specific binding proteins, thyroxine binding globulin and thyroxine binding prealbumin, are responsible for the transport of thyroid hormones. Both T4 and T3 are more predominantly bound to thyroxine binding globulin. A small fraction of free hormones are also biologically active. The T4 has a half-life of 4 to 7 days while T3 has about 1 day. T4 acts for longer period than T3, and this is because of the difference in the affinity of these hormones to plasma proteins. T3 has less affinity for plasma proteins and combines loosely with them so that it is released quickly. T4 has more affinity and strongly binds with plasma proteins so that it is released slowly. Therefore, T3 acts on the target cells immediately and T4 acts slowly. The degradation of thyroid hormones occurs in muscles, liver, and kidney. Now let's see about the biochemical functions of thyroid hormones. T3 is about 4 times more active in its biological functions than T4. The thyroid hormones have a great influence on the metabolic rate. The thyroid hormones stimulate the metabolic activities and increases the oxygen consumption in most of the tissues of the body, with exceptions such as brain, lungs, testes, and retina. The sodium potassium ATP pump, which is an energy dependent process, consumes a major share of cellular ATP. The sodium potassium ATPase activity is directly correlated to thyroid hormones, and this in turn with ATP utilization. The obesity in some individuals is attributed to a decreased energy utilization and heat production due to diminished sodium potassium ATPase activity. The thyroid hormones promote protein synthesis by acting at the transcriptional level. They function as anabolic hormones and cause positive nitrogen balance and promote growth and development. The thyroid hormones also promote intestinal absorption of glucose and its utilization. They increase gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis with an overall effect of enhancing blood glucose level. They stimulate lipid turnover and utilization. Hypothyroidism is associated with elevated plasma cholesterol levels, which can be reversed by thyroid hormone administration. The synthesis of thyroid hormones is controlled by feedback regulation. T3 appears to be more actively involved in regulation than T4. The production of thyroid stimulating hormone by pituitary and thyrotropin releasing hormone by hypothalamus are inhibited by T3 and to a lesser degree by T4. The increased synthesis of TSH and TRH occurs in response to a decreased circulatory level of T3 and T4. Since the body has sufficient stores of hormones to last for several weeks, it takes some months to observe the thyroid functional deficiency. Focusing on the metabolic fate of T3 and T4, the thyroid hormones undergo deiodination in the peripheral tissues. The iodine liberated may be reutilized by the thyroid. The T3 and T4 may get conjugated with glucuronic acid or sulfate in the liver and excreted through bile. The thyroid hormones are also subjected to deamination to produce tetraiodothyroacetic acid and triiodothyroacetic acid, which may then undergo conjugation and excretion. As we are shifting our focus towards the abnormalities of thyroid function, we must know that among the endocrine glands, thyroid is the most susceptible for hypo or hyperfunction. Goiter, hypothyroidism, and hyperthyroidism are the major abnormalities associated with the thyroid function. Now, let's see about goiter. Any abnormal increase in the size of the thyroid gland is known as goiter. The enlargement of thyroid gland is mostly to compensate the decreased synthesis of thyroid hormones and is associated with elevated TSH. This is primarily due to a failure in the autoregulation of T3 and T4 synthesis, and it may be caused by deficiency or excess of iodide. The simple endemic goiter is usually due to iodine deficiency in the diet and is mostly found in the geographical regions away from the sea coast where the water and soil are low in iodine content. Consumption of iodized salt is advocated to overcome the problem of endemic goiter. In certain cases, administration of thyroid hormone is also employed. The substances that interfere with the production of thyroid hormones are called as goitrogenic substances or goitrogens. They include thiocyanates, nitrates, and perchlorates, and the drugs such as thiourea, thiouracil, thiocarbamide, etc. Certain plant foods like cabbage, cauliflower, and turnip contain goitrogenic factors, mostly thiocyanates. Now let's see about hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism is also known as thyrotoxicosis and it is associated with the overproduction of thyroid hormones. Hyperthyroidism is usually caused by Graves' disease or due to increased intake of thyroid hormones. The signs and symptoms of this include increased metabolic rate, nervousness, irritability, anxiety, rapid heart rate, loss of weight despite increased appetite, weakness, diarrhea, sweating, sensitivity to heat, and often protrusion of eyeballs called as exophthalmos. Now let's see about Graves' disease. It occurs due to elevated thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin T, also known as long acting thyroid stimulators, which activates TSH and thereby increases thyroid hormonal production. It is an autoimmune disease that affects the thyroid gland and the most common cause of hyperthyroidism and thyroid hypertrophy. It usually affects women between the ages of 20 and 40. The risk factors of Graves' disease include family history, sex, age, other autoimmune disorders, emotional or physical stress, pregnancy or childbirth, and smoking. Graves' disease may result in miscarriage, preterm delivery, fetal thyroid failure, delayed fetal development, heart failure, or preeclampsia. In the absence of treatment, Graves' disease can cause heart arrhythmias, changes in the heart muscles and function, and congestive heart failure. Thyroid storm is a rare complication but life threatening and requires submission to immediate medical care. The bone strength depends in part on the amount of calcium and other minerals in it. The overlap of excess thyroid hormone with the body's ability to integrate calcium into bones leads to osteoporosis. Thyrotoxicosis is diagnosed by scanning and or estimation of T3, T4 which will be usually elevated and TSH which will always be decreased in plasma. The treatment methods include radioactive iodine therapy, administration of antithyroid drugs, and in necessary cases, thyroidectomy or partial thyroidectomy. Mostly after surgery, the patient will have to be treated to supply the body with a normal amount of thyroid hormones. Focusing on hypothyroidism, it occurs due to impairment in the function of thyroid gland and it causes decreased circulatory levels of T3 and T4. The disorders of pituitary or hypothalamus also contribute to hypothyroidism. Women are more susceptible than men. Hypothyroidism is characterized by reduced BMR, slow heart rate, weight gain, sluggish behavior, constipation, sensitivity to cold, dry skin, etc. The hyperthyroidism in children is associated with physical and mental retardation, collectively known as cretinism. Early diagnosis and proper treatment are essential. Hypothyroidism in adult causes myxedema, characterized by bagginess under the eyes, puffiness of face, slowness in physical and mental activities. Thyroid hormonal administration is employed to treat hypothyroidism. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, also known as chronic lymphocytic thyroiditis, is the most common cause of hypothyroidism. It primarily affects middle aged women but can also occur in men and women of any age and in children. An autoimmune disorder in which the immune system creates antibodies that damage the thyroid gland is the cause for Hashimoto's thyroiditis. The signs and symptoms include fatigue and sluggishness, increased sensitivity to cold, constipation, pale, dry skin, puffy face, brittle nails, hair loss, unexplained weight gain, joint pain and stiffness, muscle weakness, excessive or prolonged menstrual bleeding, depression, and memory lapses. The risk factors for thyroiditis are sex, age, heredity, other autoimmune disorders, and radiation exposure. Women are more susceptible to this disease and it commonly occurs during middle age. The complications include heart problems that can lead to an enlarged heart and possibly heart failure. Goiter may interfere with swallowing or breathing. It may cause depression. Myxedema is a rare, life threatening condition that can develop due to long term severe hypothyroidism as a result of untreated Hashimoto's disease. Its signs and symptoms include drowsiness followed by profound lethargy and unconsciousness. It also leads to birth defects. The children are more prone to intellectual and developmental problems. Now, let's see about the laboratory diagnosis of thyroid function. The measurement of basal metabolic rate was once used to reflect thyroid activity. The estimation of serum protein bound iodine, in short PBI, representing the circulating thyroid hormones, was employed for a long time to assess thyroid function. The normal serum PBI concentration is 3 to 8 mg per 100 ml. Hyperthyroidism is associated with decreased PBI and hyperthyroidism with increased PBI. In recent years, more sensitive and reliable tests have been developed to assess thyroid activity. The concentration of free T3 and T4 and TSH are measured by RIA or ELISA. Radioactive iodine uptake and scanning of thyroid gland are also used for diagnosis. Let's see about the normal serum concentrations of thyroid hormones. The free T3 concentration is 80 to 220 nanogram per deciliter. The free thyroxine level is 0.8 to 2.4 nanogram per deciliter and the total thyroxine level is 5 to 12 microgram per deciliter. The TSH level is less than 10 microunits per ml and in the plasma level the total T3 is that of 0.12 microgram per deciliter and total T4 is 8 micrograms per deciliter. The antithyroid drugs are classified as monovalent anions, thiocarbamides, aminobenzines, drugs that inhibit release of thyroid hormones, and drugs that inhibit T4 to T3 conversion. Chlorate, hypochlorite, periodate, nitrate, perchlorate, etc. fall under monovalent anions and they compete with iodide for transport into thyroid and inhibit iodine uptake. thiourea, thiouracil, propylthiouracil, methimazole, carbimazole, etc. fall under thiocarbamides, and they block oxidation of iodide to active iodine. They also inhibit iodination of monoiodotyrosine and block the coupling reaction. They may also inhibit the synthesis of thyroglobulin. Sulfonamides, para-aminobenzoic acid, sulfonylureas, tolbutamide, carbutamide, etc. come under the category of aminobenzenes, and they inhibit the conversion of iodide to active iodine, inhibit thyroperoxidase, and they reduce iodination and coupling reactions. Colchicine, vinblastine, vincristin, and cytochalasin are the drugs that inhibit the release of thyroid hormones. They inhibit the formation of microtubules and microfilaments in apical thyroidal cells, which are required for pinocytosis of colloid droplets. Propylthiouracil, propranolol are drugs that inhibit the conversion of T4 to T3 in target cells. So that's all about the thyroid hormones. Hope you would have got a clear idea of the biosynthesis, the storage, transport, metabolic fate, biochemical functions, abnormalities of thyroid function, and the antithyroid drugs from this video. Thank you.